Legislation. Good evening. Welcome to the July 1st, 2025 reorganizational meeting of the Katona-Lewis Borough School District. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just wanted to let everybody know that our newly elected trustees, Ms. Arwen Thomas Bellilani and Carolyn Snow, were previously administered the oath of office prior to tonight's meeting. And then I will administer the oath to Dr. Blanche and our assistant superintendents and student trustee within the next 30 days. So the first order of business is the president and vice president. So are there any nominations for President of the Board of Ed for the 25-26 school year? Mr. Swerfeger?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Lorraine Gallagher.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for Board President? Okay. May I have a second for Ms. Gallagher to serve as our Board President? John? All in favor of Lorraine Gallagher as our board president? 6-0. Thank you very much. Next order is our vice president. May I have a nomination for vice president? John?
Barbara Williams.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? May I have a second for Barbara? Lorraine?
John beat me to it.
All in favor of Barbara as our vice president? Thank you. Congratulations. What I'd like to do is administer the oath of office to Ms. Gallagher and Ms. Williams at this time. If you want to both step up, we can do it together.
Sure, sounds good.
What I'll have you do is raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Board President,
the duties of the office of Board President,
the duties of the office of Board Vice President,
the duties of the office of Board Vice President,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. And then Lorraine, if I could just have Barbara, Lorraine, you can sign here, please. Thank you. Thank you. And Barbara, if you wouldn't mind signing here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations. Now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our newly elected board president, Ms. Gallagher.
Good evening, and thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's vote tonight, and I'm really ecstatic and looking forward to working with Barbara as well as the rest of the board for a great new year, and I think a lot of great things are coming our way. So next on our agenda is 7.01, board announcements. Anybody have any board announcements?
Just briefly welcome Arwen and Carolyn to the board. This is their first official meeting. Yeah, excited to have you both.
Excited to be here. Yeah. Thank you.
And maybe also welcome Ibeliz.
Oh, yes. Next is board committee reports, 8.01. Don't think that there have been any committees meetings since we last met. Was there sustainability?
Yeah, there was.
Yes.
I think last Friday, right? In the morning or the Friday before?
That's right. I have to admit that we didn't pass between Lori's last day. But But I can recall from the agenda that we did discuss some final issues relating to the energy contract that was still being negotiated, the energy performance contract. And so that was the main point of discussion. And I think that we still don't have any news to report at this time. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Great, and so, especially for Arwen and Carolyn, there are several board subcommittees and district committees that meet throughout the year. Those committees are the Audit Committee, the Finance Committee, Facilities Committee, LES Shady Lane, actually it should just, I think, just be LES now, Parent Council Liaison, Policy Committee, Sustainability Committee, New York State School Boards Association Liaison, Westchester Putnam School Boards Association Liaison, and then the District Safety Committee, Equity and Racial Justice Committee, Food Services Committee, and Special Education Empowerment Committee. I think Barbara and I will send out an email to everyone with the list of these committees, and if you could express interest in ones that you're interested in serving on, we'll figure out the best way, especially when Marjorie's back. We'll put out some dates of when the proposed meetings are, and then we'll figure out, you know, who's best suited for which committees.
So I saw in my initial intro package that it said that new trustees are usually appointed to the parent committee, but I also just heard you mention several committees that I had never heard of before. So I'm wondering, does that change now? So it's open, we could join any of the committees?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think most of the trustees sit on two to three,
Okay,
at least.
okay.
And if it's all right, one of the
Absolutely.
ones you had mentioned there was the Special Education Empowerment Committee. That's a piece that Evelise and I are working with and partnering as we're looking to kind of bring the PCG report to life. And we've been partnering, and we've met, I think it's maybe 3 times already, with our SEPTO leadership.
Oh, great.
And so when we come back in the fall, we'll have a better clarity of what the structure is going to look like for that as we move forward that work. So that is a new one for all of us. So again, district committee with the board liaison represented on there.
So Ray, that's actually good news, and I think first that we're announcing in a public meeting, because at our last meeting, June 12th, I believe, was when parents came and spoke, and one of their requests was having to do with creating this new council. So what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing correctly, is that you are working with the Belize to get that done, and so I think that's important, and I hope that those parents are really excited about the fact that we're being responsive in that way.
Agreed, and that's again, a partnership since kind of midway through the year with the SEPTO leadership. That was the hope and desire to kind of start the year, and then it was reinforced with the PCG report as well. And so we're very excited to kind of come back in the fall and talk about the structure and, you know, to the spot of, you know, having, you know, hopefully some student representatives on that committee as many times we do as well too with some of our work. So thank you.
That's great. And none of these committees really meet over the summer, with the exception of the policy committee. And I think there was a expressed desire to keep the policy committee intact because many of the policies that we were working on have kind of carried over. So I think that committee will most likely stay intact, and that's Marjorie is the chairperson of that committee, and then Barbara and myself serve on that committee. And we
And I
will be
appreciate
meeting.
the board doing that as well too, because typically I know we wouldn't meet in the summertime. We've got a few things we need to get done. For example, the new kind of cell phone policy we need to get done. So that was one of the ones why we extended it. So I think we're actually meeting this Friday, I think is next Friday.
14th.
14th, there we go.
The 14th,
14th.
I think that's
Monday.
Monday.
So that'll give some time to get that done, but I appreciate the board allowing us that to do this summer because there's some things coming from the state that we had to just get in place. So thank you.
But the thing to know about policy committee is that all of the policies that we amend or create then get brought and have several readings go through. So you all, even if you're not sitting in the policy committee, you have an opportunity to review policies and, you know,
Ask
sort of
questions.
ask questions, raise any concerns, even if you're not sitting in the policy committee. So it's not like, you know, you still have an opportunity to weigh in.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and then all the policies are also reviewed by council where needed to make sure that we are within the confines of the law and meeting our requirements. So there's lots of eyes on them, but like Ray said, there's some that we just are up against some deadlines. There's the new state requirements. The heat temperature, I think, is one, and then the
Yes.
cell phone. With any more questions on these subcommittees? So Barbara and I will talk, and we'll get an email out to everybody, and we'll kind of look and see what dates have typically been held, and see how that all works for everybody. Moving on to section 9.01, there are no presentations tonight, so we will keep on moving. That brings us to 10, public comment. I don't think anyone's here for public comments, so I'm going to close public comment at this time. And then we're moving on to 11.01, adoption of annual resolutions for the 2025-2026 school year. We move them all together but we are pulling out,
That's a consent.
that's an consent agenda, okay. So can I have a motion for the annual resolutions? Somebody second? Seconded by John. All those in favor? 6-0.
And Lorraine, if I may, as part of the annual resolutions, we reappoint Kim to be our district clerk. And I know that we do recognize Kim often, but she is a cornerstone of the board, and I think it just deserves recognition. Thank you.
Kim is amazing. Sorry, there's a lot of,
You looking at the one to pull?
oh,
I think she's got a notice there up here.
okay. So we are going to pull item 16.01 from the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to move the rest of the consent agenda? Motion by John, second by Arwen. All those in favor? 6-0. And now if I can have a motion to move 16.01 from the consent agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second. All those in favor? 5-0, one abstention. Agenda. Sorry, it's a long. Moving on to 18.01, resolution regarding donations and gifts. I will say we are so fortunate as a school board that I think almost every meeting we have somebody gifting something to the school. So tonight we'd like to recognize Florence White for a monetary donation of $500 for the Donna White Memorial Scholarship. Can I have a motion to accept that gift? Motion by Bill. Can I have a second? Second by Arwen. All those in favor? 6-0. And finally, that brings us to board discussion and dialogue, 19.01.
I would like to kick off. First of all, congratulations to the two of you.
Thank you.
I think you both bring unique aspects to the board in leadership, which I think is really important. I'll be honest that the results could have gone the exact opposite, and I would still feel the exact same way. I think, my year plus on the board, I think we have a really strong board, but as always, you can always get better. I think we have a strong superintendent, and it's our job to keep pushing him and him working with us. Ray, I'm sorry to reduce you to a he or a him.
It's a nice thing I haven't called lately, so I'll take it. But yeah, as we kick off our 25-26 school year, and it feels incredible saying that, kind of a little scary. I hearken back to my coaching days when it's time for captain's leadership. And I would always go back to there are leaders by name and leaders by nature. Sometimes you can be both. Sometimes you can be neither. I challenge the 5 of us that are not named a leader of this board to push and be good and lead within. I challenge our leaders to take that title and not use it just as a title, but to actually lead this board and push us forward. And I'm excited. I'm excited with our new members. And I think it's going to be a fantastic year, a fantastic partnership with the district. And I just wanted to get that off my chest as we kick off the school year. So congratulations.
let's get dirty and get to work and have those hard conversations.
I actually had a few comments going back to the June 12th meeting. I think, we had a really robust presentation by PCG. And I'm really glad that Ibalise is here with us. I think when we look at the study and the assessment and we look at her arrival, I think we have a real fresh start when it comes to special education and how we're looking at it. We do have a great program, but I just wanted to say a few words because we've talked a lot about the assessment, and I feel that also it's important to acknowledge and recognize the parents that were here. This can be such a difficult subject matter. And I once again want to reiterate that I think it's really important that you really made this happen, Ray, in terms of the assessment. There's a saying that says you can't manage what you can't measure, and so you are measuring things so that we can manage them, and this is one of those examples. I just want to say that I really appreciate listening to every single one of those parents, just as much as I appreciate listening to parents who are having a really fantastic experience in our program. And I heard many of those stories when I was at Meadow Pond at the PTO meeting and Principal's Coffee, the last one of the year. There were tears, there was a lot of gratitude from parents. And so it's important to hear from all parents. And, I think even when we look at the end of the road and when we have all the implementations completed and we're running as strong of a program as we can, there will be a few times when there might be disagreement between the district and parents about what's the best way forward, and I think that that's inevitable. That said, I think we can do better in terms of communicating with the parents, understanding, and just making sure that whatever decision we come to, that there's always sort of a feeling that we're all on the same side of the table, which is on behalf of kids. So, and I fully trust that we're going to get there, and I think we're largely there, but we have room for improvement, as we learned with the assessment. So yeah, I just wanted to recognize those parents. It has to be really hard to be standing up there, and it's important to hear their voices.
I also am very excited. Do I need to push?
No.
I'm very excited to serve alongside everyone here. Thank you. And I'm also very excited to hear of the formation. Happy
And we have our literacy report to look forward to in the fall too. I think since Ray has joined the board, many of the things that Bill and I both ran on 3 years ago now are coming to fruition. So I'm feeling really good about our trajectory. There's always room for continuous improvement. As I work in the manufacturing field, so we're always striving to hit the next efficiency, the next better model, and to move onward. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for some good board development this year. We are a young board. Unfortunately, Marjorie, I think, has more years in her alone than all of us put together. So I'm looking forward to her returning and joining the board and sharing some wisdoms and learnings and working together with everyone in our amazing cabinet. We wouldn't be here without all the hard work that they put in, throughout the year, but also over the summer. And I'm excited to hear about what you've been cooking up all summer for our teachers and their professional development. So, thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing about special ed and literacy. I mean, that was a big thing when we were running for the board, and you've addressed both of them and doing a great job. Welcome. Looking forward to working with you guys, and Ibalise and the rest of the group. So thank you for attacking those two things for us.
Well, I guess I just don't want to be the only person to say that. I really did want to congratulate the both of you. I am happy for some new leadership team. Honestly, I think that this will be great. I think that when I decided to move forward with this, with finally running, because I thought about this many, many times when you both ran, before you both ran, and this was when it came to be the right time. And I'm excited to do it with this team. I like the fact that in some ways we're a new team. I like having that one person who has experience. Carolyn and I both went to training over the weekend, the governance training. And I was really glad to be in the room with her, so we get the same messaging. And we spoke to the former, now retired superintendent of Rye, and everything he was saying about how it worked so well for them was resonating with me about things I've already seen you doing. So I'm very excited to be here at this time with you and with this team. And I'm glad that my first meeting went so well.
They are never all this short.
I know. No, I know.
Always gonna prove.
Well, with that, if there's nothing else to be said, we will move on to the superintendent's comments.
There you go.
Somebody got the stopwatch?
Yes, no, great. Just, I really look forward to be a partnership with the team. And, you know, again, one new player, whole new team. And so that's the reality, is that I would like to describe it that way. And as we think about, as we start next year, working on some of our own learning as a collective group, and we talked about those brown bag lunches. And so those will, what's on your mind and kind of what's on your plate right now, that's where we as a cabinet want to respond back to those wonderings. And so those are very fluid. And so those are pieces that as we go through the summer, we'll connect with. You had mentioned about the summer, no rest for the weary. We had, I think, 17 teachers here in one group yesterday working. They were finishing up their work today. So it's right off to the next elements. And they were actually working on curriculum mapping and particularly identifying power standards. And so the work is well at hand.
And ADCO today.
Oh, yes, yes. And our administrative council was there together as well today, walking through the elements. The idea of one of the pieces of literature that we'd shared with the team, a book called Learning by Doing, in general sense, you learn by doing. And so our faculty went through, our admin team went through today the experience of what we will be ultimately asking our faculty to walk through as well too. So they've walked in those shoes a little bit. So they went and identified what we're calling our empowerment plans. And out of those plans, they identified SMART goals at elementary, middle, and high school. So these are the elements that now the leaders have gone through. And honestly, I couldn't be more proud. Our assistant principals facilitated and guided the learning today. So myself and the CAB members there were participants as well as the principals, and our assistant principals, because they are part of a data team that we established earlier in the fall. They went through and learned from that on the initial standpoint, and then now they turn that around and use that. And one of the points you were speaking about before, I can't help but think about the frame of using strengths and opportunities. And that's exactly actually the process is called a collaborative inquiry process. Nancy Love a number of years ago designed this. The tweak that our principal team, particularly one of our assistant principal teams, put in there, Mallory, identified of bringing in positive framework. There's always a deficit model. Many folks, oh, we got to work on better. Where it's like, okay, well, first let's talk about where are our strengths and what are we doing well, and what are these children doing well, so we can maybe leverage that in other areas, and then there's opportunities. So it's really, really pretty amazing to see from our leadership team. And you would have been really proud of the folks you've allowed us to bring onto the district. And then as we think later, typically we do in August, I know we're going to have some conflict scheduling, but we'll get it done, is that we'll have our team joined by the rest of the administrative council team. So there's a chance to go ahead and go through a little bit of that work. We will more likely focus in on the key structures of what it means to be a professional in community. We're going to continue that from what we started last summer and stuff. So thank you.
That's great. Do we get another or?
You get something else this year.
It sometimes is used in my house. Just kidding. With that, I think we can have a motion to adjourn. Don, second by Barbara. All those in favor? 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.